Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our YNR chat for Sunday, March 25th. All week, Angelina has been trying to work up the nerve to get out of this fake marriage to Kevin. Not only trying to figure out how she is going to break the news to Angelo, but there was also this really much more tender process of her realizing that this relationship is not good for her. She had realized over the course of the past couple of weeks that Kevin wasn't happy and that she loved him enough to let him go. But this week was different because she was starting to understand that this type of relationship is something that's bad for her too. She wants and deserves someone who will love her just as much as she loves him. And the situation had just become so unhealthy, and she had this really great process of coming to terms with it. And it also included rewriting one of Devon's songs that he wrote for her, her next hit. He gives her the lyrics, she takes one look at them and realizes that that's not really what her story is, so she decides to rewrite it as a different type of song, a good goodbye. And I just, my heart broke as I was watching her sit there rewriting the lyrics, and it made me teary because she's a character who is so over the top. She's so out there. What did Catherine call her this week? A gum-chewing something. But that's exactly who she is. She's hairspray and hair and fingernails and fake fur, and she's so over the top. But deep down in there, there is a really good person, a really sensitive person. And I think we've seen her mature over the course of the last few weeks. And so her having this creative process really just opened her up. And she sang the song, and it was amazing. She is, you gotta give it to her, she's an excellent singer. The actress is. Does anyone know if the actress is staying on the show? Because it kind of seems like we're moving toward a conclusion of that, to that part of the storyline, and I don't know if that means that she's gonna be written off the show soon. If anybody has any idea what the status of that actress's contract is, please leave me a comment and let me know, because I want to keep her on. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Everybody I've talked to for the most part seems to like Angelina, but let's take a poll right now. How do you feel about Angelina? Is she worth keeping on? Is she a character you'd like to see continue to develop, or are you just over her? Leave me a comment and let me know what you think about that. I personally really sincerely hope that before the actress leaves the show, or as part of the character resolution, or hopefully she stays on long term, but I would really like to see Angelina find someone who does fit her. She deserves love too. She wants love too. And I want her to find someone who loves her back before she needs to go or whatever. But I don't know. I enjoyed her so much this week, and I don't know. I think that it was hard for her to do what she had to do, and she did it. And I'm pretty proud of her, too. And meanwhile, all of this is happening, Kevin is starting to have way more intimate moments with Chloe. We're inching ever so slowly back to Kevin and Chloe. They met up at the athletic club quite by chance this week, and who was there also but Delia, and she was there just to pull on the heartstrings, because Kevin and Chloe have had many interactions since this debacle with Angelina, but Delia was there this time, and there was this family moment between all three of them where Delia wanted Kevin to stay. I mean, remember how Kevin and Chloe promised Delia that they were gonna be a family? They promised her that they were gonna have this wedding, and then they were gonna live together, and then they were gonna be a family and be able to see each other every night. And what happened to that? All of that disappeared, and that's very difficult for a child to understand. So Delia was really soaking up every moment that she had with Kevin. She talked them into sitting down and having ice cream, and it was this awkward / cute interaction between Kevin and Chloe and Delia, and it definitely reminded me why I enjoyed Kevin and Chloe being on good terms. I haven't been the hugest Kevin and Chloe fan. I don't feel like we've ever really focused enough on a sexual energy between them, which I think made it difficult for me to open up to a relationship, but they were always good friends. I always enjoyed their friendship. It was cute, it was sassy, and I started to realize that I kind of missed that this week. I think if the writers focus on putting a little more passion in there, injecting a little more sex into their relationship, I could get there. I could definitely get there. Hey, why not? After everything that's happened, I want everybody to be happy. I really do. I think everyone's been through enough, and everyone deserves better than what they're getting at this point. And it's all Angelo's fault. It really is. When you break it down, everything that happened is Angelo's fault. When Delia and Chloe and Kevin were having their little ice cream social at the athletic club, I kept expecting Angelo to walk in. He's become this looming force over everyone in this little sect of town, and it's kind of making me sick. It's like Angelo used to be funny and fun, and it was one thing when he was just trying to wring a couple of bucks out of Jeff over gambling debts, but forcing Kevin into this marriage has just made Angelo so unappealing to me. He's nothing more than a overgrown goon. He's hot-headed, and he doesn't listen to anyone. And he's just starting to really become unappealing to me. Although I totally appreciated the scene where Angelina and Angelo finally talked about the sham of a marriage, and she finally explained to him what exactly was going on. And I actually cried. I did, because it was just breaking down all of these barriers and all of this stuff that had built up over a course of these weeks, and finally, they were actually communicating with each other, and it resulted in Kevin's freedom. And not just Kevin's freedom, Angelina's freedom too. It was really, really sweet. I enjoyed that. And then Angelo goes back to Glowworm, where they are planning this huge reception for someone's wedding. At the last minute, the wedding is canceled, and now Glowworm is left with a cake and all the decorations, and a wedding is ready to, a reception is ready to happen. The only problem is no bride, no groom. And Angelo has the great idea that he is going to, on the fly, spontaneously ask Gloria to marry him. Seriously? Like, the only thing I could think is, imagine how hard it's going to be for Gloria to get out of this marriage when she realizes what she's done. It was impossible for Angelina to get out of a marriage to somebody else. And now she's going to be married directly to Angelo. There's no way he's going to let her out. This is going to drag on forever. Gloria would never have said yes if Jeff wouldn't have been sitting there just eating a piece of cake, listening to the entire proposal going down. She looked at Angelo when he proposed as if he was crazy, as if this was a ridiculous idea. Then she glances over to Jeff, sees him sitting there with his mouth wide open, and then just gut instinct decides to go ahead and marry him, totally to make Jeff jealous. It is going to be really bad news for her. This is a bad situation for Gloria, and I like Gloria, and I want more Gloria on screen, but this is, I don't know, this is not necessarily the way I want it. As soon as Gloria runs off to go get dressed for her wedding that's apparently happening now, Jeff has this memory flash where he realizes exactly what happened to him. And it's a scene of Angelo standing loomingly over Jeff, forcing him to write that goodbye note that he wrote to Gloria, and contesting it, saying she's never going to believe that this is true. She's never going to believe that I took her money. And it was Angelo. It's kind of implied that it was Angelo that ended up taking the money. We all knew this, that it was Angelo that forced this entire situation. And now he's going to marry Gloria. This is what he wanted all along. Angelo has been orchestrating this from the beginning and making everyone around him unhappy because of it. Well, when Jeff realizes this, he stands right up out of his chair and starts to charge Angelo. And Jeff was such a pipsqueak in this moment. His heart was in the right place. He stood up like, I'm not gonna let you do this to Gloria. She needs to know the truth. And it was the equivalent of Jeff running up to Angelo then putting his hand on Jeff's head while he continues to run at him. Like, Jeff can't get an edge in. I think he threw a punch and Angelo caught it with his hand, and next thing you know, flash to a scene of Jeff hogtied and thrown into the damn dumpster, screaming out, Gloria, don't marry him! I don't know. The only person I can see that's going to be able to get Jeff out of this is Jill. There was a little bit of a preview on Monday's show showing Jill maybe showing up at the wedding, so who knows, maybe Jill will step out back and for a smoke or something and see Jeff in the dumpster. And I certainly hope so, because this is going to be a major mistake for Gloria. The only person who is ever even going to have a chance of getting her out of this marriage is going to be Michael. And by the way, I was really happy to see that Kevin finally opened up to Michael this week about what was going on. He only had 100 chances to let Michael help him. Michael breaks it down so easily. Kevin tells him about the whole story about why he married Angelina, and Michael's like, well, we'll get an annulment. No big deal. Michael's the hero of that family, and there's no question about it, and his services are going to be needed very, very soon. Seriously, it doesn't even matter, because even a mob boss is no match for Michael Baldwin. So speaking of the incomparable Michael Baldwin, have you guys noticed his new hairdo? He is apparently doing this thing with his hair where he's like graying just at the temples. The rest of his hair is dark, but just graying at the temples. Kind of like Ian Buchanan, sort of a classic look. It's very sexy, I think. I find gray hair to be very becoming on men. It just looks good, and it's very becoming on Michael. It shows his age, embracing of his age, and it just looks really good. Have you guys noticed it? A, and did you like it? B, leave me a comment and let me know about that. I think it's very, very sexy. But his sexiness is not going to help him in this situation with Lauren. Lauren is very, very close to the edge, yet I think she feels in control. I don't think Lauren sees how unstable she really is right now. And again, another situation where Michael can be there to help someone and they won't lean on him. In fact, this week, Michael even said to her, please lean on me. That's what I'm here for. Daisy is in every single corner, around every single corner that they turn, and it's freaking Lauren out so much that she's bought a gun, which Michael doesn't know about, and Michael senses, though, that she's terrified and trying to be strong, but not wanting to talk to him about it, not wanting to confide, not wanting to lean on him, and he says, please let me help you, and Lauren refuses. She has, I think, a plan in her head that involves her gun. She keeps getting her gun out at every opportunity. And this week, she's sitting at her desk at Fenmore's, taking a look at her gun, when Phyllis walks right on in and sees her sitting there. And it was a very, first, it was an awkward moment, like, what are you doing with the gun, Lauren? What are you doing with the gun, Lauren? And then this even weirder, even more unexpected moment where the two women totally connect and totally agree. Phyllis sees that Lauren has a gun and confirms Lauren's thoughts. You almost expect Phyllis to be like, why? But instead Phyllis is like, yeah, I totally understand why you got a gun. This girl's Daisy's dangerous. Which Daisy hasn't really shown that. So far, Daisy hasn't really shown that she's doing anything to warrant having a gun around. For the most part, Daisy's been fairly mild this time around. And yet, I am starting to get the impression, seriously, I mean, you guys, are Phyllis and Lauren gonna try to set Daisy up to make it look like she was gonna harm them just so Lauren could shoot her? And just on a related note, Ricky is starting to become very intimately involved in the Daisy situation, which I love so much. What could be better? Daisy plus Ricky? Yeah, they're both evil. They're both troublemakers. They're both kind of evil in the right way for me right now. Again, Daisy, love her. I say it every week. Ricky, I've completely turned around on. It is amazing how much I have changed my opinion on this character. He's bad, but in a really, really good way. And I don't know exactly what it means that he's hanging around Daisy. Ricky just seems to be, he just seems to have a sixth sense for trouble. And he wants to get out all up in it. He's hanging around everywhere just with his ear open, seeing where he can poke and prod. And I think he and Daisy have that in common. And while I, of course, don't want to see any harm come to Lauren or Phyllis or anybody, and all those people are trying to, you know, are on Daisy's enemy list, I just can't help but be curious about where this is going. It just is going to be good. But then again, Ricky kind of has his claws in to many different situations. He's got this weird relationship going on with Phyllis that's antagonistic, yet apparently he's working at Restless Style. I didn't pick up, I don't know, I guess I missed the part where Ricky got hired at Restless Style, but he seems to be at the office. I thought Phyllis just bought that story from him as kind of an independent writer, but apparently no. Apparently he's working there because he's there all the time, and there's this antagonistic thing going on between he and Phyllis, but yet she keeps him around, so it's kind of weird there. And then this week, Ricky went to see Sharon to try to propose doing a story about her and the Restless Style. I think, or not Restless Style, in Restless Style about Sharon's new company, and I think that Ricky did that just to get up under Phyllis's skin. That's my theory on it, but of course Sharon very quickly shut him down, realized that he's working for Phyllis, doesn't want to have anything to do with him. Plus you can like smell Ricky's stank probably coming from a mile away. He's probably the kind of guy that wears a lot of cologne too. You can kind of see it. And I'm still wondering what the deal could be with Abby. I think that Ricky has eyes for Abby. I think he would love nothing more than to get into her pants. And again, I'm also still waiting to find out what Abby's secret is. There was that flashback scene of her on the night of Diane's murder and Deacon telling her, I know what you did. So something else is going to be developing around Abby, and you can pretty much almost bet that Ricky will have his ear to the door trying to figure out what that is. Or who knows, Eden, something could develop around he and Eden. There's a lot of potential. Ricky's kind of up in a lot of women's storylines right now. My only remaining question is, which one of them is he going to sleep with first? Victor and Genevieve. Is anyone into it? I've got to know. I've spent Monday through Thursday being really annoyed with Victor. It makes me sick the way he and Genevieve have this flirting thing going on. Do you guys like it? In fact, I want to hear from someone who really digs the idea of Victor and Genevieve. Please help balance me out, because as is, I want to throw up. I can barely watch it. I'm cringing. When I see them on screen together being all kissy face, it just makes me sick. All of this cat and mouse this trip to Japan, the trip in Paris, the meetings here and there, just all of this cat and mouse game that they're playing just feels like foreplay to me. Every word that they say is innuendo, and it just makes me ill. I can't describe it any other way. It just makes me ill. Genevieve is being very suggestive. She's scooching over across the table to like feel up on his face, just lightly caressing his face, practically licking him. I think Genevieve would like to take a big old lollipop lick of the Victor Newman. But she's restraining herself. And of course, the one moment that she actually gets to lay fingers upon the great man, Jill, who is also in Japan, also at the same restaurant, imagine that, reaches in, opens up the slider door and reaches in and takes a sneak peek photo with her phone. Of course. Of course. And parallel to that, it was just at the moment that Nikki was deciding that she was going to return to the ranch. She sent Abby to Victoria's house to do Chelsea duty, and Nikki decided that she was going to return to the ranch and try to work things out with Victor, just like probably at the exact same moment that Genevieve was caressing his face. Ugh. The only thing good about that was seeing Jill in that ridiculous costume. Jill's out in the public part of the restaurant while Victor and Genevieve are they're in a private dining room, quote unquote dining room, and Jill just happens to hear Victor's laugh, realizes that he's in there, with Genevieve, and decides that she needs to put on a costume. So that she won't be detected and so that she can sneak this photo. So I don't know if she just ran across the street to Japanese Costumes R Us. But she had on the full wig and kimono, and I think did she have face paint on? I can hardly remember, but it was so over the top. That was over the top. I had to laugh. It was dumb. It was dumb, but like fully, wholeheartedly entertaining. It got my attention. I laughed a big old Rolf over that. But the problem for me is that Genevieve has changed so much within just the last month or so, ever since the Beauty of Nature thing happened. Her real, true colors have come out. She's gone from being just this sort of sheltered business mob housewife into being a real snake in the grass. I think she's trying to pretend to be this international businesswoman now, but she just doesn't have the experience to back it up. There's no humility, no humbleness. All she really has is a bunch of money. She went and drained all of Colin's accounts before he went to jail. So she's got all his money, and now she's just trying to pretend that she knows what she's doing, and she's gonna get herself into a whole lot of trouble. Seriously, she was just about this close. Victor set her up. It became revealed toward the end of the week that that's what it was. He wants Beauty of Nature back, and even though there was moments Monday through Thursday where I kept thinking, this is making me sick, Victor is into it. I really thought Victor's into it. He wants Genevieve. He just wants to nail her, and maybe it's like a conquest thing. I don't know, but I was feeling very disappointed and very angry with Victor. In fact, there was almost this implication that they slept together. There was this gap in time. They had dinner one night, and then it was all feeling up faces, smoochy smoochy, and then I guess the show ended that day, and then came back the next day. It was the next morning, and they were sort of like having implications of how was your night, or how did you sleep? Best sleep of my life. You know, just sort of there was this implication, I thought, that they had slept together, and I was really, really mad at Victor about it. But he surprised me. He anticipated Genevieve's every move. He even left his briefcase in the private dining room with her, knowing that she was going to go through it and find a business card that had someone's name on one side, Mitsukoshi Deal written on the other. He knew she was going to take that card and go contact this person who Victor set up to be a federal agent. He was setting her up to basically make the same fall that he did, bribing a Japanese business official in order to get this exclusive contract with between her company and the major department store. So I was I hate to say it, I don't wish Genevieve any harm. I don't wish her getting caught, but I was kinda glad that it turned out that Victor was setting her up and not trying to nail her. Well, he was trying to nail her in one way, not in the other. Well, Ashley got nailed this week in her office by Tucker. I'm glad. I get the feeling that I'm probably one of the only Ashley and Tucker fans out there, but they just work for me. And I'm sorry, but Ashley just works for me. I love her. And when she was on the show back in the 90s, late 90s, I didn't love her. She left for a long time, and it wasn't until she came back recently, I guess, was it maybe around the time right after Sabrina died, maybe, when she came back? Maybe. But it really hasn't been until this time around that I really liked her. But now, every time she's on screen, I just think, she is flawless. She really is. Great hair, great skin, awesome outfits, and she's had some weird outfits. There have been some weird outfits and some weird hair for her in the past, but everything is just coming together and she looks so good right now. I just like looking at her. Eileen Davidson is just one of those women. She just looks better today than she did 10 years ago. I truly believe that. I really like her. I like seeing her. I also really like seeing Kane in action. That makes me really happy. I like that he's doing something else, anything else besides lying to Lily. Having him in business storylines is really, really sweet. So Kane had this whole meeting set up with the same guy, the same federal agent guy. I guess this federal agent was sent by Victor to set up Genevieve, but he's curious to know if there's going to be any impropriety. He's snooping around. He knows that the major cosmetic firms are going after this Mitsukoshi deal, and he's going to pose as a major stockholder to see if anybody tries to bribe him. And Kane somehow got an in with this guy as well. He was going to have this meeting at this other little tea house, and Genevieve intercepted that meeting very rudely. If he actually was an executive, Genevieve swooped in there and basically grabbed the guy right before Kane was gonna get to him, but that was to Kane's benefit in the long run. Freaking Jack was the one that figured out that this guy was a federal agent. Jack figured it out by sitting on Ashley's computer and doing a Google search for the guy's name. Didn't anyone else think to do this? They're all like, oh, who's this major stockholder guy? Don't even think to Google him, maybe do a little bit of research on this guy. Isn't that kind of part of the business process? I don't know. But Genevieve walks right into the trap. See, this is exactly the reason why Genevieve should have sent Victoria. If this was all going to go down and it was all legit, she should have sent Victoria, because Victoria would never have made this mistake. Genevieve is new, she's ambitious, she's foolish, and she has something to prove. And I'm not saying that as an anti-Genevieve thing. I'm saying that just simply because Genevieve is she's getting too big for her britches. She just is overplaying a hand that she doesn't even have. She does not have the experience to back up what she's doing, and she's making broad strokes that could have gotten her ass thrown in federal, international jail. She could have been sitting in a Japanese jail cell tonight instead of going back to her posh hotel. And she's overconfident. She really is. And she screwed up. She screwed up really bad. Jack called Kane, told him immediately, don't have anything to do with that guy. He's probably looking for impropriety. Don't let him get a leg up on you. Have nothing to do with him. Yet, Kane sees that Genevieve's meeting with him now. She hasn't figured out that he's an agent. And Kane has this dilemma where he's trying to decide whether or not to warn her. And I think ultimately Kane did the right thing, because it would have been wrong of Kane to let her meet with the guy. It would have been wrong to let Genevieve walk into a trap. Yes, she's from a competing company. Yes, there's a lot of bad blood between them, but she's still his mother. And he treats her poorly in a lot of ways. Like, if I talked to my mom the way Kane talks to his mom, I would never get away with it. No way. But at the same time, there are little things about Genevieve that are starting to peek through that make me understand why Kane doesn't necessarily respect her. There were a lot of things that went down in their family that were extraordinary circumstance. The sister, Samantha, was murdered, shot and killed in their home. And it was something that Kane probably blamed Colin for, but also Genevieve. She was complicit. She had this family. She didn't do anything to stop it. She continued this facade of a family, and it ended up resulting in the death of a sibling that Kane really cared about. So there are just little things about her personality that are starting to peek through that I feel like weren't there before. And even so, I found myself really rooting for Kane to tell the truth. He was very torn about it, but in the end, he did the right thing, and I so enjoyed it. Kane realized that he wanted to warn Genevieve, or that he needed to, but he also didn't want to tip off the federal agent to let the guy know that they were on to him. So Kane bursts into this room where Genevieve is having the meeting with the Japanese guy, all socked up, pretending to be all socked up, like he's drunk and he's falling all over the place, and he just plops down at their table and he's like, hey, Mom. He grabs a tuna roll or whatever, throws it in his mouth, just makes this big scene, forcing the Japanese guy to kind of leave and think, well, I don't want to do business with you, or in reality thinking, well, he just blew it. Genevieve was this close to offering the guy a bribe when Kane threw open the door. So Kane really, really saved her butt. I don't know. Kane is kind of growing on me again. I like seeing him in the business world. I liked that he was sitting at the bar and he called Lily to ask what she was wearing. That was so cute. I mean, really, he wanted her opinion about what he should do about Genevieve, but he was feeling vulnerable and he wanted to hear Lily's voice. But I just thought it was really cute that was how he approached the phone call. He was like, so what are you wearing? Even if it's just a sweater and a jacket, just tell me. I want to know what you're wearing. He wanted to be there with her. He missed her. I just thought that was really cute of him. You guys, I love Kane again. So Kane foiled Victor's plan. Genevieve doesn't know it yet. She's only on the cusp of realizing that the entire thing was a setup and that she was very, very close to falling for it. But by the time Victor got home, the damage to his personal life had already been done, because Jill's photograph had already made the rounds. Jill had sent it to Ashley. Jack saw it over, on Ashley's computer. It's kind of rude of Jack, actually. Like, he wants to be in charge so bad. He hates that he cannot move. And an email comes into Ashley's inbox, and he's like, oh, what's this? Opens it right up. That is kind of rude. And it's the attachment of the photo of Victor and Genevieve. Ugh. Genevieve caressing his face. I wish I could get that photo out of my mind. But Nikki, of course, is hanging around there too. And she insists on seeing what it is that they're all looking at and being all awkward about. And so Jack shows her. And first, just really briefly, I kind of want to discuss a little bit, do you think about Jack's actions this week? What do you think about Jack and Nikki? I feel like they're friends. I I don't see a romantic thing happening, but I think they're friends, and I think that Jack, deep down in his heart, believes that Victor is bad for Nikki. And I think he knows how much she loves him and is devoted to him, and that nothing is ever really going to stop her from loving him and wanting to be with him. And I think that there's maybe he feels that there's a futility to trying to keep them apart. So while I kind of got the impression in some ways that he was trying to get Nikki to see that Victor's a sleaze bag. I mean, he brought her into Jabot and started discussing Jabot business about what Victor was doing in Japan with Genevieve in front of Nikki. And in fact, Nikki was like, maybe I should leave the room for this. I'm kind of personally involved. It's sort of awkward for me. But Jack was like, no, stay in the room. Ashley, you can talk freely in front of her. Tell her everything. And to me, that said, Jack's kind of hoping that something is revealed here that will jog some sense into Nikki. And that is kind of almost what happened until Jack, I think, sort of kind of ended up pushing her the other way in the end. But in the end, I was kind of proud of Nikki. I mean, it's really hard to say. I've got two minds about it, because on the one hand, sometimes I just feel like Nikki's got this whole battered woman vibe going on. The way she just, can't seem to stay away from Victor. The way she seems to make excuses for him constantly. But by the same right, I was kind of proud of her that she confronted Victor about the photo. She saw Victor cozying up to Genevieve in this picture, and rather than letting it spiral her out of control, rather than running to go find the nearest vodka bottle, she confronted Victor immediately when she got home. I mean, first she tried to kind of coax it out of him to see if he was going to tell the truth, because they've got this agreement between them. If Victor lies to her again, it's over. For the 100 millionth time. But so she wanted to see if he would fess up, and he did. He told Nikki that he was in Japan, that Genevieve was there. He didn't reveal the complete details of what was going on, but he did reveal the truth, and I was proud of him for that, and I was proud of Nikki for asking him about the photo, confronting him about the photo, rather than just jumping to these conclusions. And Victor was able to kind of explain his way out of it. I mean, he said, yeah, maybe I was kind of flirting with her as a means to an end, which makes me want to puke. It's not okay. It's not okay for Victor to be, I'm so mixed. It's not okay for Victor to be flirting like that with another woman, whether it's business or not. But at the same time, I did appreciate that he tell the truth. I'll give him some points for that. I don't know. Maybe Nikki should just be with Jack. I just don't feel any passion. I don't feel any chemistry between Nikki and Jack. Do you? How do you feel about it? I'm glad that she's there for Jack. He needs her right now. I mean, I don't know. Adam's eyesight recovered miraculously, so can't Jack have a miracle too? Speaking of Adam, I am very surprised, very, very surprised that he is not keeping his miraculous recovery a secret. I expected Adam to try to keep it a secret and use it as a road back into Sharon, or a road as a means to whatever end he wanted it to be, but instead he's being really honest about it. He told Chelsea that he got his eyesight back, and then he made a visit to Restless Style to go see Phyllis and told her that his sight was back. I kind of like this new Adam. It feels like a cross between the super duper, like somewhere in the middle between the super duper evil Adam and the completely recovered, passive, sort of humbled Adam. It's somewhere in the middle now. He's starting, now that he's got his eyesight back, he's getting a little bit of his smugness back, which I like. He went to see Phyllis this week, and just the way the conversation was going reminded me of pretty much where we were 2 years ago. Adam was poking the bear, talking about Nick and Phyllis and Sharon, and kind of implying to Phyllis that, oh, Nick and Sharon are working together again, maybe we should team up. I just got the vibe that he was thinking maybe we should team up to keep these two apart. And it bugs me, because are they just recycling storylines here? This is exactly where we were a couple of years ago. Both Nick and Sharon getting closer, even though it doesn't seem that anything sexual is going on between them. At the same time, like, Adam and Phyllis are on the outs trying to figure out how to get on their way in, and I just think, God, can't we do something else for a change? Phyllis really is having a hard time right now. Every time I see her on screen, she just seems totally broken, and it's breaking my heart. She's got the whole thing with Nick, the insecurity, and to boil that down about Nick and Phyllis, plain and simple, Phyllis does not trust Nick. She sees that he's working with Sharon. It stirs up a bunch of memories. It makes her feel insecure. She doesn't trust him. Whether she's right to or not, she doesn't trust him. And if there is no trust, there is nothing to build on. Where can they go? And it's not anybody's fault necessarily. It's just I worry that that's what the situation is. Sharon is always going to be an issue for Phyllis and Nick. There's no getting around it. Even when they resolve that there's no more Sharon, even when Nick insists that he's not going to have anything else to do with Sharon, even though he insists that Phyllis is his #1 priority, it's still there. It's this elephant in the room that's never going to go away, and I want the best for Phyllis and Nick, but I don't know how they're going to work around this. I just don't know that there is a way around this. And just to pile on top of that, Phyllis has got this whole thing with Daisy and Lucy, and she's focusing so hard on Lucy. It kills her that this child, who she has raised to be her own, is now with this criminal, reformed or not, or, whatever. Daisy's a criminal, and Phyllis wants more for her granddaughter. Everybody wants more for little Lucy. Phyllis needs to focus on the child that she does have, Summer. There was this really, really wonderful scene, probably one of the best scenes of the week, to be honest, between Phyllis and Harmony at Restless Style. Phyllis is just mourning the regrets that she has made in her time when it comes to her children, and she sort of, without thinking, started laying that on Harmony, started kind of just wanting to get some stuff off of her chest. Just, Nick was begging Phyllis to talk to him, and she couldn't do it. But yet Harmony is just this really sage-like person. Phyllis just sees it as an opportunity and tries to talk to Harmony, and Harmony is like, whoa, you're talking to me about someone who's had issues with their kids, who's made mistakes raising their kids? Harmony is the epitome of that. Harmony has done a lot of damage. I love her so much. There's wisdom in her face, there's wisdom in her voice. She just looks at Phyllis and she says, who do you think you're talking to? I was a former crackhead. Instead of being with my children, being a mother to them, I was taking them with me to go get a hit. There's nothing worse than that. And I think that talking to Harmony really put things into perspective for Phyllis, and likewise, talking to Phyllis, I think, put things into perspective for Harmony, gave her something to think about. So I like their friendship. I think it's really unlikely. In reality, I feel that Phyllis and Harmony would be enemies, but for crying out loud, Phyllis has got enough enemies. I'll let Phyllis and Harmony please just stay calm friends for now. They're both really incredible, strong women. They both look amazing. I'm sitting there, I'm used to being dazzled by Phyllis and Michelle Stafford and just how amazing she looks and her outfits and just the perfectness. But then I really started looking at Harmony this week, and it dawned on me. I looked at her face and I thought, how old do you think she is? And my first reaction was, she looks like she's my age. She looks like she's like 35 or something. She looks young. She's got a young face. So I went to Wikipedia how old she was. I just had to know. Do you guys want to guess how old? Oh crap, what's her name? Debbie Morgan, I think, is the actress's name. I need to get that down. Guess. Go ahead, I'll give you a second. Guess how old she was, because you're probably never going to guess it. Girl is 55. Are you kidding me? I could only hope, wish, and pray that I look that good at 55. Oh, Devon. Probably the best thing about being deaf now is the fact that he can't hear Angelina's screeching voice in his ears. I guess I didn't really realize that Devon was going to be deaf for a while. I didn't know that there was a possibility, too, that he might be losing his hearing altogether. I thought that the surgery was kind of a sure thing, that he was just going to go do it and everything was going to be fine. But now it's kind of being revealed, or maybe I missed it, that there's a possibility that they could go to turn on his ears and he won't hear again. It's just, to me, it just seems like, I don't know, kind of a big risk for just a little bit of improvement. The whole problem was that he wasn't able to distinguish between some pitches, which isn't, in the scheme of things, that huge of a deal. But now if he goes back to follow up on his surgery and he can't hear at all, I can't believe he took that risk. That's going to be a major disappointment. I'm going to feel awful for him if that happens. In the meantime, though, it's really, really hard to edit music when you can't hear it. So he's having to lean on the other people in his life, leaning on Lily to be able to sign things. And he's got a lot of projects going on. He's trying to cut Angelina's next song. He has expectations. He's trying to get this record label off the ground, and he's deaf. So he's also decided to lean on Tucker. And I can totally understand why Devon is hesitant to ask for Tucker's help, because asking Tucker for help in some ways makes him feel like that means he has to act like Tucker is his dad, when he's not. Neil is his dad. You know, I mean, there are things that he and Tucker have in common, even some obvious, habits. They both like music. They both like mayonnaise on their french fries. There's some great little ways for them to bond together, but Devon doesn't want to feel obligated to pretend like he sees Tucker as a father. Instead, I think Devon is starting by just trying to see Tucker as a friend and as a colleague. Devon has asked Tucker to come in and help him cut the music with him, help him listen to things, help him give a good ear, someone that's in the business. And Tucker's happy to do it. He wants this relationship with Devon. He doesn't want to push it, but he wants this relationship with Devon. And so far, it really seems like they're going to get closer. There have been a lot of head roads this week in that relationship. And likewise, Tucker is starting to kind of open himself up to Catherine a little bit more, which is good. I still wish that Devon would do the same. I wish that he would open himself up to Catherine a little bit more. I know that she did something that he felt was a betrayal to him, but at the same time, she clearly loves him. She wants to be part of his family as well, and if she can't get directly close to Devon, she is starting to mend things with her own son, with Tucker, and they've had a couple of really nice interactions this week where they've talked, and Catherine even told Tucker things about his real father that he didn't know, that he loved music, and it helped bond them, I feel. And hopefully that means that Tucker can maybe be a bridge toward Devon, because I'd really like to see Devon accept Tucker and Catherine as part of his family. Not necessarily as the primary family, but just accept and realize that they are a part of him. And I'm like, I don't know, I'd like to see some happiness. I like that Devon is letting Tucker in, and I'd like to see Tucker continue to let Catherine in too. Okay, everybody. Well, that's just about the end for me for this week. It was nice to have a full week of shows back. I needed my Y&R. I missed it. By the time Monday rolled around, I was like, give it to me. And they did in spades. I've enjoyed this week's show very much, and I hope that you did too. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys are thinking. There's a comment box down there, and let it all hang out. I gotta know. It's always a pleasure chatting with you guys and hearing what you have to say. And I'm going to be back next week, and we're going to continue on. I'm really curious. I think there's there's going to be some interesting developments next week. I had to stop myself from seeing a spoiler, from seeing a preview of next week, but in my head I'm like, I've got something's going on. So I'm going to be curious. Next week's going to be good, and I'll be totally looking forward to chatting with you guys about it. So until then, you know I love ya. Keep watching. Mwah! Kisses, smooches. Pretend I'm licking all of your faces, all of your collective faces. I'm licking it like a lollipop. Oh Lord, Genevieve. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.